Hello, and welcome back to The Honest Left. So, tomorrow is probably the most important debate of this entire election. Now, why? Well, we are in a state of emergency here in the United States. It seems as though the entire world is shutting down because of coronavirus. And our current president has ultimately failed miserably in his planning and his coordination in handling this virus. And people, I know myself, people are looking for a leader. People are looking for someone with a real plan, with real grit, with real guts, with real determination. And it's crazy because we're right in the middle of this election. It was just heating up. It was just really, the picture was becoming clearer, and now we're just in this complete chaos. Now, before I get into what I really want to talk about here, I myself have been exhibiting some of the symptoms of this virus. I've had a cough, shortness of breath. I've run a little bit of a fever, not anything extreme fever wise, but I've run a bit of a fever. Now, I'm not going to clickbait title this video because that's not what this video is about. I don't really want to make a big deal out of it. I'm young. I eat reasonably well. I'm a bit chubby, but I've been on a diet for about 2 months now. Feeling a lot healthier, so I should be completely fine. But yeah, I don't want to make a big deal out of it. I'm not going to clickbait the title. That's not what this channel's about. That's not what this video is about. Video is about kind of my thoughts going into this debate and really what I think is going to happen in the debate tomorrow. It's very simple, right? Bernie Sanders has been hammering universal health care for decades. For many, many decades. His whole life, basically. And in this time, people are so confused. People are so confused about, how can I go to the doctor? How can I get tested? How can I get treatment? You know, there's a lot of places, a lot of medical centers, urgent cares, things like that around my area that are just not really accepting patients anymore because of the huge surge in people going because they think they might have the virus. And Donald Trump recommended, go to your primary care physician, get tested. Well, Donald Trump, 25% of Americans don't have a primary health care or a primary doctor. They don't have a primary provider, whatever. And what are they supposed to do? We're not supposed to overload the hospitals. We're not supposed to overload instant cares and urgent cares. And if you don't have health care in this time, which I do not, I don't have health care in this time. It's very confusing. It's very scary. Obviously, like I said, I'm not very worried. Even if I do have it, I believe I'll be fine. I will get over it. But there's a lot of people. It's hard to get this out. It's hard to gather my thoughts on this. But there's just so many people who are confused. There's so much confusion. What do we do? What are we supposed to do? Where do we get tested? Where do we get treatment? And then Donald Trump, in one address, says that he's talked to insurance companies and they've agreed to waive co-pays for treatment of the virus. And then the healthcare companies come out literally minutes later and say, we did not say that. We said we would waive co-payments for testing, not treatment. And there's just this huge, convoluted mess in the United States where no one knows what to do. And that is what makes the debate so important. Who is going to go up there and have a real plan and show real leadership in this time? Now, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden have both already given speeches talking about this topic. So it's very easy to see which one has the upper hand here. Now, again, I've said this many times. I don't hide which side I am on here. I support Bernie Sanders. I believe he's the right choice. I believe it is a very easy choice to make between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. But all you have to do is compare these two speeches side by side. Joe goes up there and he's doing what Joe does. He's saying basically nothing. He said just a few days ago that if Medicare for All made it through Congress, he would veto the bill. So what is his plan for healthcare? He says, I want to expand Obamacare. Well, Obamacare is gone. Donald Trump got rid of Obamacare. So you want to re-implement Obamacare at an expanded sort of way. Well, what does that mean, Joe? Because let me tell you, Obamacare does not provide health care for everybody. And Obamacare punishes you for not having health care. So what's the expansion? What is the expansion? Are we going to get the public option? Are we going to bring back the punishment, the fines on your taxes for not having health care? Are they going to be expanded? Is it going to be a larger fine? Like, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't even think Joe Biden knows. Because honestly, I've said this before, Joe Biden has no original ideas. And I don't think he doesn't want to change anything, right? Having Joe Biden really wouldn't change much. You know, obviously the Democrats have to save names sometimes. And you see this in what they did for this relief package for coronavirus. Nancy Pelosi argued with Donald Trump for days and days to get this thing passed, and then took all the credit for it getting passed. And the media was glad enough to give her all the credit for getting this relief package passed. And that's the kind of things the Democrats are going to do. When their backs are all the way up against the wall and they have to prove that they still have liberal ideals, they will do it. But they will do it in a way that is not truly liberal, in my view. And so, in this situation, in this debate, is Joe Biden going to save face? Joe Biden going to talk about public option in this Obamacare thing? Is Joe Biden going to, lean left when he's talking about how to handle this thing? Because here's the real thing. A lot of Democrats really aren't Democrats. They're basically Republicans. Because they don't really support liberal ideals. They don't really support taxing the wealthy. They don't really support public health care. They don't really support many of these liberal ideals that are not that extreme, okay? They are left-leaning, but that does not make them radical. That does not make them extreme, but they don't really support these things. When Obama was in office, his whole thing was, I'm going to end the war in the Middle East. When he ran the first time, his whole thing was, I want to end the war in Afghanistan and bring peace in the Middle East. Okay, so then when he gets elected, about a year, maybe year and a half in, he pulls a lot of troops out of Afghanistan, but he leaves most of them there. He leaves most of the army in the Middle East. So he runs on this principle that has this liberal idea of ending the endless war. But he doesn't do it in practice, right? How could you expect anything different out of Joe Biden? But again, in this debate setting, I think it'll be very clear to people, and I say this, but some people I feel are they're just in denial. They're just in denial that Bernie is obviously the better choice here. Okay, but in Bernie's address, he talks about Medicare for All, but he also talks about trade and the effect that the coronavirus has had on trade. And that we need to not be so reliant on all of these outsourced trades. Because the reality here is people can't get masks. Why? Because most of the masks are made in China. And this has happened many times in the past couple of years where it really becomes apparent that our whole economy is based on the products and the trade of other countries. And that has become a big issue. And here's the thing about coronavirus, okay? It is not the disease itself that is scary. The disease is not inherently a death sentence. What is scary is the implications of the disease. I've thought about this a lot in the past couple of days. And I have a lot of friends that are coming to me and they're saying, people are scared over nothing. And I say, well, some people probably are. Some people don't understand what I'm about to talk about. And they're just, they're following the media. And the media is painting it, obviously, as this huge deal, this huge killer, and everybody run and everybody hide inside. But what is really scary is the economic implications, okay? So the economic implications are, so much of our product comes from these other countries. And a large portion of our products come from China. Okay, so obviously everybody knows this all started in China. And since then, all the work stoppages, all the production stoppages are tanking the world economy as a whole, right? But especially in the United States. And I mean, all you have to do is look at stocks, okay? Stocks since February have dropped almost 30%. And I'm talking about the Dow Jones specifically, but that's obviously a good indicator of the market as a whole. The Dow Jones has dropped almost $9,000, almost 30% since this whole thing really started to get in motion. And that just shows you, right? These companies know, these investors know where the product is coming from. They're very smart. They know where everything's coming from. This is their life. This is what they do. They're in the business to make as much money as possible. And they are saying, hey, it's about to tank. This economy is about to tank. Recession is very, very, very possible in this situation. And me personally, outside of YouTube, obviously, I work a normal job. I work in the food industry. And it has had it will have a very large impact on the food industry. Why? Because do you really want to go out to eat when you know this thing's going around? Okay, and it scares me too, because I come into contact with hundreds of people a day. I'm around hundreds of people a day. And that is why, with these symptoms I'm having, I would not be surprised at all if I caught it. Because, again, hundreds of people a day. And that's the food industry. But any industry like this will take a very large hit. And you see this. Like I said earlier in the video, it is as if the whole world is just grinded to a halt because of this. Sports, gone. Completely shut down. Every league that was playing, even the NFL that's not playing, they've shut down so many of their operations because of this. You have voting days being postponed because of this. Everything that was going on, right? When I started this channel, it was just a few weeks ago. I was talking about nothing like this. I was talking about how bad the Democratic debate was. I was talking about how, Joe Biden sucks. But it wasn't anything like this. Now I feel like I can't come on camera and not talk about this. Because everything else is irrelevant. Everything else in the world right now has become completely irrelevant. And it is just insane. And again, that's what makes this so important. And that's what makes it so crazy that we are in the middle of this election. Because every point that was made before, every plan, every agenda that was presented before does not matter right now. And so for me, I think this debate will basically be exclusively, what would you do if you were president right now? What do you think Donald Trump has done wrong? That will be probably the entire point of the debate. Obviously, there could be other questions mixed in. But again, the original format, or not the original format, but the changed format was to have seated debate with audience questions. Now, I saw today that there's going to be no live audience at the debate, so I don't know if that whole idea has changed. And we'll have a seat. We'll probably have a seated debate because Joe, he's Joe. But I don't know if we're gonna have audience questions. It might just be the moderators. But it's going to be. I was thinking about this too. It's going to be very eerie. It's going to be very eerie to watch, because every debate is in front of a live audience. Okay, now the live audience is gone, and the reason that they're gone is the main point of the debate. So to me, I think it'll be very eerie to watch, Joe and Bernie just sit down and just talk to one another. They're not talking to an audience. They'll just be addressing the moderators and one another. No crowd noise, nothing. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, again, you know which side I'm on. And I have no doubt that Bernie Sanders will have good answers for these issues. But again, Bernie, outside of the whole coronavirus thing, you gotta drop it. You gotta drop the Joe is my friend thing. Yeah, I saw just the other day. He was saying, I'm not dropping out, and I'm looking forward to debating my friend Joe Biden. It's so disappointing. You do so much well. You're really screwing up in this department. Again, you're the anti-establishment candidate. You were appealing to the anti-establishment movement. Joe Biden is the establishment. If your friend is a part of the establishment, how can you be fully anti-establishment? Doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, I just wanted to come on and talk about my thoughts about this. And again, I wanted to talk more about the debate, but nothing else is relevant right now. Nothing else is relevant right now. This is unlike anything I've seen in my lifetime. And again, I'm only 23. But I remember swine flu. I remember Ebola. It was nothing like this. Nothing at all. But anyways, guys, again, stay safe, okay? If you're having symptoms, stay self-quarantine. Wash your hands. Wear masks. Make sure you're stocked up. And thank you for watching.